Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Live right here, Washington D.C. Man, Black Business Matters, man. I'm talking about that black dollar tonight, man. Black economics, the new black economy. Stand by, we about to start this thing shortly, man. It's your host, Dakari Urquhart. Live, Black Business Matters Studio, Washington, D.C. Ward 8, Washington, D.C. We're going to be talking about black economics, powernomics, the black dollar, how we're going to be creating this new economy. Let's get it. You need to be excited, y'all, because the future is promising for everybody that's about what they screaming about so much. It's time to go. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, whatever you want. All right, live from Black Business Matters Studio once again, man. We about to get the game started. We talking about the black dollar. If you have any economic experience, if you have any type of background in economics, cryptocurrency, if you were just an entrepreneur, you want to learn about what's going on, you need to stand by. We about to get started. We about to have a good show tonight. Inshallah, we're going to be laying the foundation and the blueprint for what it takes to build this new black economy. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, I'm on. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I want. Whatever you want, I want. Okay, man. We about to get the show started in a second, man. Like, if you join us live on BitChute, Facebook, if you wherever you catching this on, man, like, we get your thinking cap on, man, get a pen and paper. If you really about this black business and you about grinding and not whining, welcome to the team, man. Welcome to the family. We out here live. We're gonna be talking about the black dollar, the structure of a digital economy, and so on and so on. All right. All right. Okay, let's get started today. What's going on, family? We are gonna be talking with Dr. Boyce Watkins. Oh, we're gonna be listening in on an interview that Dr. Boyce Watkins has, and I want you to hear a point that he's making because I'm one of these people that's up Howard University. I'm a co-founder, as you people, a lot of people may know. I'm a co-founder of Fragrance and Beyond and the Beyond Corporation. So we are a blockchain project. I like to tell everybody we are the world's first natural beauty and fragrance blockchain technology company. Franchise concept that's powered by blockchain technology. Our goal is to open up 20 stores by 2024 across the African continent, the Muslim world, and the U.S. total. So 20 stores by 2024. Remember that concept. So with that, I have an immense experience. I'm a subject matter expert in blockchain technology. I've been doing blockchain technology for some time now. And what we're going to be doing is going over what it takes to establish the black dollar and what it takes to build a global ecosystem that's powered by blockchain. You may have heard of Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of these different currencies. Now we had the opportunity for to create our own currency called the black dollar. And so with that being said, we're going to listen to Dr. Boyce Watkins, and we're going to listen to the guest that he had, and he's going to kind of like pick up on the points where I was talking about. So listen carefully to the brother. I'm gonna let him chime in. I'm gonna chime out, and we're gonna go from there. So I'm gonna step out and let the brother.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, Dr. Anderson. It's one of those things where I think that I've been talking about you a lot. I know your ears have been burning because I've been talking about you in terms of the fact that we were actually talking about Howard University and HBCUs, and the fact that HBCUs produce a lot of employees, but not as many business owners as we actually need. And there was a recent study in the Wall Street Journal that showed that actually Black college graduates were contributing to the racial wealth gap. That Black college graduates, because of the student loans, and then also because they're not actually building businesses and investing, they're actually just getting jobs. We're causing the wealth gap to grow. It's actually getting bigger between whites because we have an employee culture, right? And I think that I think that one of the things that's clear is it's like we know what road we need to go down. The hard part is getting everybody to go down the road, and we know it might be kind of a long road, but we know what road to go down. We know what the solution is. The solution on the wealth gap comes down to what you're talking about. Stop creating employees and start creating more business owners.
That's right.
And stop arguing with us every time we say that, because next thing you know, some Negro always shows up and said, well, not everybody is cut out to run a business. Yeah, but everybody can own something. Everybody can own a piece of a business. Everybody can be an investor. Everybody should own something. You can own some land. You don't need to run a business to own some land. You don't need to run a business to own some stock. You don't need to own a business to be a silent partner and to make a financial contribution to a company that gives you ownership. So just stop that. That stupid Negro talk, that backward Negro talk is exactly what we're battling against. And so I don't see the battle necessarily just being one between us and the politicians or us and non-Black people. The battle is really within ourselves, in terms of changing our culture. And stop giving yourselves away for free. You're giving your money away for nothing. You're giving your votes away for nothing. And I'm just trying to figure out, and maybe you can even speak to this, Dr. Anderson, because we're going through Black labor, white wealth, and you were talking about in the book a lot about the slave conditioning, where we are conditioned to undervalue ourselves and to give our very best away for free because we want that badly to be liked by white folks. Can you kind of speak to some of that?
Well, that's exactly what the problem is. And that's why immigrants come in this country. They understand they come to this country, that the value is crossing and coming into America and being perceived as having value and having worth. And what they do is called non-tangible financial wealth.
I don't know if you heard that, man, but he said, man, people try so hard to try to appease someone who really don't care about them. So that's really important, man. You need to listen to what he's saying.
See, a Hispanic right now down in Mexico, his value might be like something like $87,000 and $90,000. That's his total value as a human being in Mexico. But the minute he crossed into the United States, his value go up to something like about $240,000 in value, just by going from Mexico to the United States. Because what he brings with him is he can capitalize on it. He comes here, he gets value. He gets value out of his language. He has a language that's consistent and within his own people, where he can communicate and put up barriers to stop other people from competing with him. He'll go into those communities and he brings value. He can sells his own food substance, some kind of food that his people want. He can start Mexican restaurants, Hispanic restaurants. He has value, and he can build that. He has value in the fact that he can go in and go and demand that they have radio stations put in their culture and their name. And so
he's going to demand that they put them in
California, 21 radio stations in California. and black folk got two, been here for 500 damn years. Because black folk can't say we're not. If you got some money, you
The
got
failure to
black folk can
organize,
get
man.
to it, and by using, I don't care if you use Ebonics or whatever it is, but somehow, but black folk can keep money retained, that their culture and their language has value. Hispanics, they capitalize on speaking Spanish, and speaking Spanish is nothing but white folks speaking Spanish. They get extra value when they come into the country. They get value out of the fact of how they dress. They stick together, and that's why when a advertising agency is going to buy a block of land, I had 2 radio stations at home. But guess what? When they're going to buy it, they come down and says, you're going to buy some radio time for Hispanics. You got to run it through a Hispanic advertising agency. See, blacks don't demand that. Blacks never say you got to go through a black agency to get to us, because anybody can get to black folk. And so black folk don't have any personal value. Black folks have, as a matter of fact, if you look in Powernomics, I'm trying to think of where it would be in power. You should find a scale that shows you the difference in value, human value around the world. You'll find that probably the highest value in the world right now would be in the person of a person living in Australia. He might have the highest value as a human being. And in every country, they rate the value of human beings living in those countries, what they're worth. And you'll find out that when you get to the African countries, you won't find not one that's over $1,000. When you might find,
Wow, you hear that?
Now like Australia might
Not
be
one.
Average
That's
value
over
for white
$1,000.
Australia
That's
might
crazy.
be $250,000. Look at that. Look at the.
That's why we doing what we doing,
charts
y'all.
I got. Then compare that with the value of a black person in Africa that might have a value now of less than $1,000. That's why when they say, well, what are you worth? When you go sign up to borrow money, they're gonna ask you, what are you personally worth? You have to fill out a net worth statement. And blacks don't understand what that means. They say, fill out that personal worth statement. What are you worth in value? And say, Henry, and when you hear people talking, they'll say, Rockefeller is worth.
A profit and
Henry
loss
Ford
statement.
is
That's how
worth.
you get your net worth, y'all.
And see,
You got to
nobody
learn
asks
how to
what is a
distinguish
black
a
person
profit
worth?
and
You ain't
loss
worth a damn,
statement.
because you don't own and control anything. You got to play this game based on worth. And right now, blacks don't have any worth of very little value because they don't own and control anything. That's what signifies their opportunities and what their worth is. And you're being equated out based on personal worth. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Everybody, I'm speaking with Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2, and also Powernomics, of course. And you can check out his books at powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. And if you're going through his books and you want some help kind of interpreting and understanding them, we have a free book club that's open to the community. And also you get access to my life class. It has probably 40 hours of content in there, totally free. You can go to Black.
All right, that's enough pitching right there. We're going to cut them off at the pitch right there. But basically, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about building a black economy and building a black dollar on the blockchain and building an ecosystem that is beneficial to black people. So imagine if we had a black dollar, which we will. Imagine if we are able to keep our money circulating in our community, which the black dollar will be designed to do. Imagine if we had incentives to circulate our money amongst our community. Imagine if our black dollar was actually more than the actual U.S. dollar, and you got received or was able to receive more value, or you got more products or services or benefit from even using the black dollar. Well, what I'm trying to say today, ladies and gentlemen, all that is possible. All that's going to happen. All that's going to happen and all that's possible. And what we have to do is we have to realize that the future is here. And either you have prepared yourself yesterday by doing the prerequisite studying and the prerequisite research and development to when we arrive at this point, which we are at now, that you're ready to play a major role. But at this point, we have to decide and divide between the doers and those who are just observers and tire kickers and people who are really not ready to make forward progress, and then separate those from the doers who are ready now to make the progress that's necessary and necessarily needs to be made. And so Right now, we're calling all types of people with all types of backgrounds. If you have a background in graphic design, if you have coding experience, if you have any type of experience in blockchain technology in particular, you are like most wanted right now. You are the most sought out right now because blockchain technology and technology in general is the industry that is taking up the space of the industrial age and all of the, the manual labor and all that, having a report to a stationary workplace. All that stuff is being replaced by technology. So if you have a technology background, if you're able to do websites, if you're able to design apps, if you're able to do the necessary things in a digital economy that's going to make the world move forward from 2021 going on, the new normal is technology. So, like we always been warned, if you don't know, if you computer illiterate in 2021, then you're going to have a hard time moving forward. Just because everything is remote now and you think you may have a Zoom app and whatever the case may be, that's not enough. If you're going to start a business, it's not enough for you to think you're going to put a business plan together, go present this to a venture capitalist group like people did in the 90s and the early 2000s. Every entrepreneur, every founder, every organization is responsible for raising their own capital now, and we are in the digital age. And so with digital platforms and digital currencies and digital tokens, you have to digitally incentivize your investors and your community to invest in your business. It's no longer acceptable where you just going to be able to do business the old way. The new normal, when you hear people saying the new normal means business. When they talking about all of these federal earmarks and this infrastructure that's coming out, that's going to business owners that's qualified and position themselves to receive federal contracts, because the federal government doesn't buy anything and they don't make anything. They hire companies to do it for them. They hire companies to supply them with the materials they need to make their uniforms, to provide them with food, to give them cars, everything. Anything you can think of that you buy, the federal government buys it times a million times fold. So what we're saying is that the money is always circulating around the same known places. And so in this new age, we have to think outside the box. And so this is what I'm talking about with this dividing between the doers and the tire kickers. The tire kickers are those same people with that old way of doing business, that old way of thinking. You go get a job and build somebody else's company, and then from there, that way of thinking is old. Like the brother said, oh, everybody can't start a business, but everybody can work though. So these slave mentalities and these different ideologies, isms, and schisms that was handed down from, the from slave culture in particular, is not going to get you forward in the future. So you have to know the new rules of money. You have to be financial literate. You have to know what benefit that you're going to bring to the new economy, because you have to digitize that. You have to localize that, and you have to create a micro economy out of your business. And from there, that's what's going down. Like when you see all of these business shutting down, it's because they failed to create a micro economy out of their existing clientele base. So when they telling you that everybody has to move outside, when they telling you that only business that's what they will say in this like a necessity business or whatever they called it can stay open, then they telling you that if you don't position your business and if you're not thinking about the new normal, then you're gonna be left behind. And so that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So what is blockchain technology? If you don't know what blockchain technology is and you've been living under a rock, then it's time to get into the real world, wake up and understand blockchain technology is the underlying technology of the world's most uh, valuable currency. The world's most valuable currency is not created by a government. It doesn't have a king's face on it. It doesn't have a person that's popular in the country. It's not backed by a country, a government, a landmass, anything. The world's most valuable currency is a digital currency called Bitcoin. It was 0 cent in 2008. And if you look at it now, it always fluctuates between about $30,000 and $50,000, on the market. But this growth between 2009 and 2021 is is what we're talking about. So if you see this type of growth in between 2009 and 2021, a currency that went from 1 cent to $58,000 or $38,000 or 30 something thousand dollars per coin, then you see the immense growth. When you look at the dollar, you see these currencies and these fiat currencies don't move up as much, and it's not as much growth because they're controlled by a geographic location, by a government, by historic patterns, by central banks, by federal reserves, by international families. It's a monopoly. And so, for the first time, we have a decentralization of the financial markets, of currencies, of economies, etc. And so that's what we talking about when we talk about the black dollar and when we talk about building a black economy. And so I want you to listen a little bit more to what Boyce Watkins and Dr. Claude Anderson is talking about, because you can kind of, the quicker you change your mind and start to understand why it's important to have an independent black dollar and black economy. I want you to start thinking about what would a black economy look like. What will we incentivize our community with a black dollar? In other words, why would people want to spend a black dollar other than just circulating it? Would you get any benefit for circulating it? If I circulate it X amount of times, what do I get? At what point can I cash out my black dollar? What can I get in exchange for my black dollar? This is called tokenomics. This is what happens when you create a digital currency. All of these type of things have to come into play, and you have to answer the questions, and you have to build this into the currency itself. So think about what all of these answers would be, and let's start to put our minds together. If you want to join the planning committee for the Black Dollar, the Black Economic Planning Committee, reach out to my business partners at Black Business Matters at blackbusinessmatters2018@gmail.com. And if you also have a business or a product or service and you want us to get you on the show, send us a sample of your product or service. Reach out to us. Reach out to our business partners at Black Business Matters 2018gmail.com. Send us your product or service. We're gonna get you on the show, and we're gonna try to get you get your product out there, get you in front of some investors. You tell us where you started at, where you need help with, where you're trying to go, and things of that nature. And most importantly, I know Black Business Matters. So while we sit back and listen to Dr. Claude, let's let's put our thinking cap on and figure out how can we incentivize the black community to use a black dollar.
BlackKeysToGreatness.com. That's BlackKeysToGreatness.com. The only requirement to be in the life class is that you need to go and buy Dr. Anderson's books on his website at Powernomics.com. I will help you understand, from my interpretation, what's there. And of course, Dr. Anderson has his interpretation as well, which is obviously more important than mine. So let me, when you talk about work, Dr. Anderson, one of the things I was mentioning is that in terms of economic culture, I encourage everybody that's listening to not measure your economic success by how much money you make. A lot of times we tend to look at income. If we have a job that's paying us a good income, we say, "Oh, I make 80,000 a year, I make 100,000 a year, etc." And that really misses the mark. When you're talking about things like net worth, I encourage everybody to start looking at wealth as a measure of economic success. So, ladies, if you meet a guy and he says, "Look, this is how much money I make," I think you should also remember that there's a level 2 and a level 3 to that. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And it's also how much money you're actually growing when you're keeping it. So effectively, net worth needs to be the new standard, because a business owner who makes, say, even 30,000 a year in net income can be worth more than a person who makes $150,000 a year, because that business itself could have has a very high net worth or a very high economic value, because it has become a revenue generating mechanism. A revenue generating mechanism gives you more economic value than any job ever could, because that job doesn't belong to you, but that business does. So if I had a choice, I would rather be a business owner who owns a business that makes me 30,000 a year than to be an employee who has a job where I'm making $80,000 a year, because that job does not belong to me. Somebody could take that job tomorrow, but you can't take my business away from me if I'm legally protected. Okay, so keep that in mind and start talking about that so that you can grow your economic thinking and not get caught in these little traps. So, Dr. Anderson, what would you look at? It looks like you were doing some research and you were in some deep thought. What you dig up over there?
Yeah, I was trying to find in the Powernomics book. There's a chart in there, and if you get a chance, show it to your class. And it's about the value of human beings around the world, how they've evaluated them, and based on what they own and control. And you find that the African country, not one African country, did they have any value for the human beings there being over $1,000. And I was trying to find it while you were talking, but I couldn't find it. But there's a chart in there. And secondly, you're right on the mark. And what Black folks have never been taught is that having a job ain't worth a quarter. A job is not designed to close the wealth gap. You see right now in the Biden administration, we're gonna make some more jobs. Black folks don't need no jobs.
You hear them, man?
Damn it, I've been saying that for 60
damn
years
man.
in politics. They don't need jobs, they need wealth.
Wow, 60 years.
You got wealth, they don't need a job. A rich person don't need a job. Most wealthy people don't need a job. You know that 87% of all the income of the white class, period, in America, it's a white society. Do you know that 87% of the wealth comes from unearned income? Unearned means you're not working. It comes from the kind of things that you promote with Black folk. It comes from stock investments. It comes from rentals income, from commercial property loan, everything from trust accounts, and banks accounts, and capital gains. That's where the wealth comes from. 87% of the wealth that white folk filed in their incomes is unearned. Slavery was that's why whites became so wealthy, because they owned the property owned with the slaves. A slave was a walking Visa or American Express card. All the white man to do is send him out in the field every day and go to work all day long, wait for him to come back home, and he can get money by having loaned him out to his neighbor to work in the fields. And see, a job is not designed to close a wealth gap. Please call the White House and tell them what I said. That a job will not close a wealth gap. A job is only designed to maintain you from one day to the next until the day you retire. And then when you retire, you go on Social Security or welfare or unemployment. But a job is to keep you going until you get too old to work anymore. But only way you can get rich off of close the wealth gap, in our society, and you're working. The only way you can do it is if you're good at stealing. We have to have a lot of theft in your blood, because otherwise you can't do it. You can't. Nobody's gonna pay you to get rich working for them. I keep telling blacks, we're gonna get some jobs for blacks. I said, blacks don't need no damn job. They had full unemployment during slavery. They had full-time employment. 99% of black folk were fully employed for 365 years. Why do I want to get blacks another damn job? You want a job on some money.
Well, that's a good point you made, Dr. S. I'm gonna hit that mute button a little bit because I hear a little bit of feedback, but I want everybody to really think about this. And Dr. S, I'd like to get your thoughts on this too, to help us understand. Black people with jobs is never going to close the wealth gap. I want people to understand why. First of all, you can't close the gap. If you talk about the wealth gap, think of it like two cars going down the freeway, and one car is going 80 miles an hour, and it's 100 miles ahead, and the other car is let's say that you don't even have a car, you're on foot. An employee is like a person on foot trying to compete with a car, because
that, man, I don't know if you heard that, but he said the employee is like a person on foot trying to compete with a car. And we already know man versus machine, the machine gonna win every time. You know what I mean? That's just like you using a earth remover versus a man with a shovel. It's not even fair. And so that's what you see when you see talking about 80% of the people have residual income or some type of like income that's not based on labor or earned income. So earned income, you already know, is taxed by 20%. So you want to stay away from that. What's the type of income that's not taxed, that people don't pay taxes on? Investment income, which comes in the form of residual most of the time. So I mean, this is what he's saying. This is why 80% of the wealth is on that side, because it's not taxable income, it's reinvestable income. And so people who pay the highest taxes are the workers and the people that are the least financially educated. When you see the people who make the most money, the richest people in the world pay absolutely nothing in taxes. And they ensure that the people that are financially illiterate pay their taxes by withdrawing it from their income when they get paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically, this is the trend that goes on, and this is why we have to change our cycle, our mindset from working to creating. So that's what building a black economic platform will do for us with a black dollar. We have to have, it's easy to create a black dollar. It could be set up in less than 30 days and less. But the key point is about getting full cooperation, full insight on how we want to tokenize our ecosystem and how we want to make things work going forward. So, what do we want to incentivize our community with? What do we want the black dollar to look like, etc. So, let's get it started from there. Let's let the brother finish out what he's saying, and then we're gonna close out. But this is to get you to understand and think about the black dollar and to give us your insight. Remember, join us. Reach out to our business partners at Black Business Matters 2018. Give us your insight on what's going on. So, yeah, so your insight. Reach out to our business partners, Black Business Matters 2018. Join the planning committee. Join the crew. Join the festivities, and let's be able to create the future, economic future, the economy of the future that's going to be digital, with a digital currency that'll be accepted wherever your dollar is accepted, wherever your Bitcoin is accepted. So we want a Bitcoin that's a black dollar that could be circulated amongst the diaspora. So that's the objective. So give us your feedback, give us your ideas. You want to place your product and service in the black economy so people can use the black dollar to buy and accept your goods and services. Reach out to my partners at Black Business Matters 2018 at gmail.com. Let Boyce Watkins finish up the rest of this.
The person in the car can go faster just by putting their foot on the pedal. They don't even have to do any physical labor to go faster. You on foot, you're gonna run yourself into the ground. Well, the same thing is true with wealth. The person that has that's making their money through real estate, stock ownership, business ownership, can make a lot more money, can accelerate their income without even going to work hardly. They might go to work, but their rate of income, the rate of earning is going to be so much faster than yours that is ridiculous. But then also, when you're working that job, you're working yourself into the ground. You're just going to work until you get tired, and then you're going to die, and you have nothing to show for it. At least if I built wealth, I might still work hard, but I've got something to show for it because I'm pouring back into something that I actually own, as opposed to pouring into something that is owned by somebody else. So Dr. Ensign, maybe you can kind of give your own interpretation of that. But I kind of want, I'd love to get your thoughts on just that basic idea that if all of us are trying to get jobs, that's no different from like it makes you think about the conversation about black people being gay or straight. I don't think we ever have to fight. We can agree that somebody. I think Dr. Anderson went away. I think I'll get him back. But think about it like this: it's okay for some people to be gay, but what's going to happen if every man is gay? Like, what happens if every single black man turns gay? Black people will cease to exist, right? So while it's okay to have some people, do whatever they want to do, you're not saying that they don't have a right to do that, but you can't have everybody do that. So the same thing is true with employees versus wealth builders. It's okay if some people just want to get jobs and don't want to build any wealth, but if everybody does that, then you can't compete economically with a community of wealth builders if you're not building any wealth yourself. That's not even possible. And also think about it like this, like Dr. Anderson said, and I'm sure I'll try to get him back. I'm gonna text my producer to see if she can get him back on the air. I'm sure there's something went wrong with the Wi-Fi or something. But think about it also like this. Remember, Dr. Anderson just made this point that you had full employment during slavery. They always talk about we're gonna give black people more jobs, more jobs, more jobs. That's all they talk about, right? Well, you had jobs. You had jobs in 1785. Everybody had a job. right? The difference was in that job, you didn't get any of the money. So really employment is pretty much like slavery, except they're cutting you off, they're breaking you off a little crumb that you weren't going to get when you were unpaid at all, right? So before your payment was room and board, now your payment is room and board and a little bit of money so you can go out on Friday night and get drunk enough to not hate your entire life, right? Seriously, because for most people, that job being just over broke means you're barely making enough money to get by. So you're not living that much better than a slave, especially, and think about this, pay attention now. Technically we're not slaves, but if you have a job, how many people do y'all know? Give me a yes or no. If you know somebody who has a job, and if you told them to quit their job, what would they say? They say, I can't quit my job. How many of you know somebody, maybe it's yourself, how many of you know somebody who has a job that they cannot quit? Like literally, they can't leave the job. They hate the job. And you say, well, if you hate it, you should leave it. And they say, I can't leave it because I need this job. How many people do you know have to go to work? Give me a yes or no. How many of you know people that have to go to work? Okay, so I want you to think about this. Slavery, what is slavery? Let's look up the definition of the word slave, what it means to be a slave. Let me see. A slave is, I'm gonna look up the definition. Let me see what comes up. Slave is a person who is the legal property of another and forced to obey them. So you're not anybody's legal property, right? You are your own legal property, except for when you're at work. Then your boss gets to decide what you do, but they has to obey them. You have to obey your boss. So what's the difference between you and a slave at that moment? At that moment, when you want to go that way, you want to stay at home and watch Netflix, but you can't because your boss said you can't. So you have to obey your boss. So how is that different from being a slave? I'm not saying that I'm not, demeaning or belittling the slavery that our ancestors experienced 200 years ago. We know how terrible that was. It came with a lot of extra baggage that fortunately we don't have to deal with anymore. But when you're really talking about slavery, you got to understand capitalism comes with a brand of slavery in itself. It's just a lot more subtle, slick, and insidious. So you don't see it as slavery. It is slavery disguised with the illusion of freedom. You're told that you're free, but then you can't do what you want to do, which really means you ain't really as free as you thought you were. And so the only way to get liberation or freedom in a capitalist society is when you are able to develop capital. You have capital. You have human capital because you're smart and you're hardworking and you are a human being that whose labor has value to it. You have your community. You have people in your community that have ideas and networks and resources that you can pull together to build businesses with. Some of you have a little money in your pocket. Black people spend over $1 trillion a year with mostly white businesses. We pull that money right back in. That's building our capital base. And we have so many forms of capital that we can tap into. And what I'm saying to you is that in order to win in a capitalist society, you have to play the game with some capital. It does not mean you have to have as much capital as white people. It does not mean that you have to have all the capital. It does not mean you have to take other people's capital. It just means you got to be able to protect your own. You have to be able to bunker in and bunker down in your little space and hold it down to defend yourself from all the predatory forces that are out here that will seek to enslave your little black butt if you don't know how to defend you and yours. If you can't defend you and your family economically, then some predator will come along and next thing you know, your daughter is somebody's slave. Your son is somebody's slave. So all these things we talk about, when we're talking about wealth building and ownership and all these other things, these are defense protective mechanisms that you need to apply to be black in a country that is designed to dislike you to the core. Okay. So with that said, I guess Dr. Anderson may not be able to come back. We're going to go ahead and finish up. Don't forget the All Black National Convention is at the end of October. We're going to cover all of this stuff at the convention. We're also doing some extra things this year. We're having the Black Excellence Awards. We're having a masquerade ball. We're having speed dating, speed networking, investment groups. We're having breakout sessions on everything economic from crypto to real estate. We're also having panels on everything from relationships to politics to black men issues, black women's issues, what's going on with hip hop. So if you'd like to join us, it's in Orlando the last weekend of October. You can go actually reserve your hotel now if you want to at a discount at abnchotel.com. The hotel, that information is on the screen. In 1 week, the tickets will go on sale. And you can actually buy your tickets in advance, get early bird tickets at 50% off. So those of you that are ride or die that really want to be there, you can get your tickets super cheap, bring your whole family, and you guys are going to love it. So we're doing this convention. It is 100% B1, and you will get to meet and be in the space of other B1 people, intelligent Black people who care about the community, who want to build and want to do great things. And like I told Dr. Anderson, I don't break promises that I make to this man. I said, when we're there, we will talk about the formation of a Black political party with a specific, clear agenda. And so that's the thing we're going to do at this convention this year. So if you guys would like to join us, you can get your hotel at abnchotel.com, and I hope to see you there soon. Last but not least, don't forget that tonight we're doing the book club. We're reading Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. You can get free access to the book club and access to my life class by going to blackkeystogreatness.com. You can sign up for free. We meet tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It's totally free as long as you show up live. So feel free to come to blackkeystogreatness.com. And then also, last but not least, some of y'all, some people challenge us. They say, okay, you're doing all this talking. What are you actually doing? What are you building? Well, let me show you another thing that we're building. We actually are making movies as well. So we just finished the next installment of a film series we've been doing called The Black Love Blueprint, teaching Black people to have healthy relationships with each other so you don't time building and not destroying each other. And so we've got relationship therapists, and every Black person needs therapy, including myself. And so we brought together therapists and couples that have been together over 30 years so you can know what family looks like and know how to do it right. Because that queen next to you, that king next to you, that can become your number one ally. And raising healthy children that are not traumatized and dysfunctional will allow you to not just retire more effectively, but it also allows you to build empires with those children. So if you want to learn the secrets of this kind of thing, there's a process to this. So feel free to join.
I had the mic on mute, but I mean, like whether you like the man or not, those are pretty much facts that's undisputed. I mean, those facts speak for themselves. I mean, I wanted the brother to come up here so he can say, you can hear from other people, other experts. And like I mentioned earlier, like my name is Dakari Urquhart. I'm a co-founder of Fragrance and Beyond. We are the world's first, fragrance and natural product ecosystem that's powered by blockchain technology. And so today, when we're talking about blockchain technology, I like to bring my expertise to what I know, to the Black economy and the Black dollar and Black business matters. We're going to make something happen. And when it happens, we want you to be involved in it, and we want you to play a major role. We don't want to just do this with a few elite few. We want to at least make the process open to the public, make it open. If you want to join the process, if you want to join any planning committee, any planning process, you got any idea, you want your product or service to be in the Black economy, you want to be registered in the Black economy, then, reach out to our business partners at Black Business Matters 2018 at gmail.com. We're going to be talking about, when we come back, talking about the Black dollar, we're going to be talking about the protocol, why Bitcoin protocol is the best protocol, and why Ethereum and ERC20 tokens may be something that's popular, but it may not be the best thing for the Black dollar. So we're going to be talking about protocols and platforms in which we be offering. So everyone knows about Bitcoin. A lot of these other platforms like Wave, a lot of other Tron and a lot of other platforms, a lot of people, they're popular, but they might not be the best thing. So when we get into planning, we're going to talk about, what platform, what protocols are we going to use? Is it going to be Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever the case may be? Then after that, we're going to be going to tokenomics. Well, how are we going to incentivize our community? What is our token going to be backed by, etc. So as we get into these topics, we need your participation, or we will have to move on with the people and the powers that be, and let's make it happen. But the Black economy is something that's going to be coming into realization. If you want your role to be heard, you want your voice to be heard, you want to be a founding father of the Black economy, you want to be a founding member and an early adopter of the Black dollar, join us. Reach out to our business partners at Black Business Matters 2018. Spread this video to others. Follow us on our other pages, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's BitChute. Follow us and stand by y'all, because Black Business Matters is going to be a network for everyone. If you got videos and content that you want to get out there, shoot it to our business partners right here, Black Business Matters 2018 at gmail.com. Peace, man. And remember, make sure that you stay on path, stay on purpose, and remember your Black Business Matters. Peace, family.